This episode was exactly what I thought it would be. I'm just trying to recover a little bit. Happy St. Patrick's Day. My mother was married to an Irishman, Mr. McCullough, who passed away 2 years ago. I don't have any Irish in me. I have Welsh, Scottish, I don't know, but I didn't get Irish. So I'm not Irish, but we are still celebrating a little bit. This is just cran pomegranate juice. I didn't want to start drinking yet. This episode, I cried the whole time. I seriously, I think I'm a little sensitive to it these days because the last couple of years been, as some of you know, been really rough for me. I lost my stepdad, almost lost my mom, my aunt, and then my daughter a few months ago had a cancer scare. And I don't care how she's almost 40, so I don't care how old your children are, how young your children are. To see them in pain, to see them upset, to have a diagnosis possibly happen, um, or happen for me it was possibly because it turned out it was not cancer. Thank you, Jesus. But it was scary for us. And I, it's no matter how old you're a parent, it doesn't matter. This episode will hit home to you. You don't have to be a parent to have this episode affect you either. But I'm saying with those of us who are parents, and back then, diabetes was a death sentence for many people. So just to have that, it would enter your brain cell. I those of you who've lost children, my heart is with you completely. I don't even know how you continue. I'm lucky to have my two daughters and my five grandchildren. I can't even imagine. Losing my brother was hard enough. A sibling, so I can't even imagine anything as close as that. This episode, this episode was an example, and I was like, it's just so funny. It was an example of good writing, amazing acting. We're gonna get into that too. Amazing acting, the town, the kids, a solid storyline. And also a little side, we got a little side thing with Lucas, real quick. Got an update, which will lead into probably the last episode. And the animals. Animals. This episode was a 10 out of 10. I mean, I just want to start off with that. It's completely a 10 out of 10. Um, Diabetes, I had to look it up because I wasn't really sure. I don't have diabetes. I'm not even pre-diabetic. Thank you. I had my test done. I'm not. There's some members of my family. It doesn't run in my family, but I know some who have it in my family. A few here and there. Some friends of mine who have it. Type 2, type 1 of different ones. And I don't know much about it. So I looked it up. And yes, it was in the 1920s. It was a death sentence. You live a couple of years, that's it. They had no real treatments. They started looking into insulin in 1922, 23. So they got the Nobel Prize in medicine too from that. Um, and it was Leonard Thompson, a 14-year-old boy in January 1922, who was dying of diabetes in a Toronto hospital. This is all the writers did their research. Again, the first person to receive an injection of insulin within 24 hours, his dangerously high blood pressure, high blood glucose levels dropped to near normal levels. And around 1923, it started spreading with these trials, and it couldn't go everywhere yet. Wasn't enough of supply, and it took a while. It's like to 1936 to start getting them in mass. So we're in the late 20s. This makes sense. It all makes sense. Um, it all makes sense. And yeah, so yes, and to give it to little Jack. Whew, yes, that's tough. Side note too for me, some light in here. I look super dark too. I guess you don't see me. I was crying. Um, Jack Wagner, who plays Bill Avery, was part of a storyline for us longtime soap fans on General Hospital. Was considered one of the greatest soap opera stories of all time, one of the top 100 TV moments. and that is BJ's Heart. There's a storyline back in 1994 where Maxie was a kid and she needed a heart, and it was her cousin BJ they killed, which they never kill kids, hardly ever, killed her, and she saved Maxie. And he played Frisco Jones, the father of Maxie, but it was his brother-in-law who lost his daughter BJ. And it was like it's one of those storylines. I mean, you can see it on YouTube. You'll saw for that one too. It was very well where everything was so well done and a little too realistic. That's how this felt too, and just seeing him try to be there for Nathan, especially those scenes where you try to be there. Because dudes don't talk very often. We don't. We try to hold it in. I admit it. I try to hold it in. I got things to do. I'm trying to work it out. Be there for everybody else. And he was like, Nathan, here's what got him the time off when he didn't ask. And also it was like when he came, it was like, how are you? And Nathan got to express how many of us men feel. Like we can't, they're Mounties. We get to do all kind of stuff and protect them. And he can't do anything. It's a helpless feeling. She's feeling helpless as a mom. He's feeling helpless as a man. It's so realistic, right? But I love their scenes together. But it just reminded me of how good he was even 30 years ago in a storyline involving a child. I think I started to cry towards the beginning, when Rosemary and Minnie were packing all the stuff up, food and everything, and getting stuff together. And Allie comes in and is like, I got something to Yost, Mrs. Yost, blah, blah. And she just kind of grabs and hugs Allie really quick. And then let's go. And Minnie tries to touch her. She's like, don't. And my girl Pascal just, is amazing anyway. And Natasha, of course, in those scenes. It's she was Pascal played her trying to hold it together. And anybody knows who's in charge of stuff, when your best friend's going to do something, your family going to do something, when you're trying to hold it together, where she conveyed it so well that it was on the surface. She wanted to fall apart for her friend, and she loves Little Jack too, but she can't. I gotta stay busy. I gotta take care. It was like, but Pascal was so good that when you could see it was right there. It's like if just one thing would have went wrong or something, she would have lost it. But she was trying to be strong and see, and Minnie was like, she could see it. I was like, you're allowed to have your feelings too. And Rosemary's like, no, I just can't. That's when I started crying already. I already started crying. She was hugging Allie, I started crying. I started crying. Then when she goes to Elizabeth, it was distraught, and these trials and Toronto, blah blah. And I tried a letter to see if we could get on because there's no kids involved. And I love that the writers came with this great idea about tell 10 things you think about Little Jack. 10 things. It was just beautiful as she tried to go through it. And Erin, talk about Emmy worthy performance, tries to talk as she's remembering these things that's making her cry more. It was like, how do you do that as an actress or as an actor? How do you do that? It's like she's trying to say these things. And then again, Pascal, pound for pound, is sitting there writing them down, listening to her, comforting her at the same time, and trying to break up herself. Those scenes are it was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. The pony gets missing, which I thought was kind of interesting. Um, the kids want to get involved. I love Cooper's so tall, so funny. The kid who plays Cooper. He talks to his mom, and it's like, hey, I gotta, we want to help. That's what the kids would do, and they just come. Well, he can't play baseball. He loves baseball, and they don't get that he can't really do that right now because of the fatigue. And they call it the baseball on the radio, and that whole sequence was so cute. With Oliver looking out, telling him what's going on, and then Allie, and Oliver and Allie are turning out to be like the young couple. I know they're not officially a couple, but like they are turning out to be the next generation of When Calls the Heart. They are. Who knew, right? Who knew? These actors have such chemistry, and the writers have written such great material for them. This material is wonderful. They do the baseball on the radio, and that's such a cute sequence. I was crying at that part, those parts. Um, they get kind of, and when it comes to Heart Style, we have to get some badder news. I'll use my bad English. I get some badder news, or we get some gooder news. Notice that it's they're too rural. They're very rural, and they're not going to send just one, for a kid. Like, that's for the kid. They need 10 people total. So they need 9 more people. The town gets on it. That's what they do. Um, and I also love the town coming together before Mei Sue and Hickam become, the heroes. They're another great couple. When Joseph has them pray first before they leave. That's what we would do. We did that a lot. We did a lot of prayer last couple of years. My family, trust and believe. And it was just wonderful to see that. Um, and and Sue and Hickam became kind of stars. They help little Jack recover. Um, Side note, of course, with Lucas, the thing about doing a recall, he don't even care anymore. He's like, I don't care. If I can't get things, I will get done. And between Henry and Leon, they're like, well, there's more you could do. You're still governor, right? Those executive orders, very timely today. There's things you could do. And so I'm very curious to see what he's going to try to do. Because he has the Goldie National Park is there. That's taken care of. That's a good legacy. But like he has all these other things he want to do. Maybe get them done before he gets kicked out. I like that. Um, and then of course at the end, they're all together and they're blessing them. They're blessing the animals, and the pony's back and all that. Um, I don't think I needed to go into any super detail about we all know what happened on the show. And it was, all about getting this insulin medication to little Jack and coming together. Um all I want to do is want to praise the actors. The actors, Kevin did a great job as Nathan, being torn and being there for Elizabeth and being there for little Jack, managing his own feelings. Um, but again, some of the other stand-ups, of course, are Pascal, as Rosemary the whole time, just really trying to be there for her best friend. And, it's the writing was just so good. And Faith trying to work it out as a doctor. I mean, there was that one moment she had to go tell the like more kind of bad news. She had to take a little breath, and then I can only imagine. You don't have good news, or you don't have the best news. You got to add to somebody's pain. You're like, oh, I got to tell them this. Like, oh my goodness. Um, and so I felt her moment was good. I mean, everyone. I know this show's getting nominated for Emmys. Don't know why. I don't know why it doesn't. But I would say this episode, for anybody's Emmy reel, all the lead actors could put it in there. It was such good stuff. There's also a scene I want to mention. It was between Rosemary and Minnie later. She's like, she's going through what you went through, I guess, with Angela. And she's like, I just can't imagine going through this with Goldie. I just can't imagine. And that's one of those things. It's like there's certain clubs you don't want to be a part of, right? As parents. And I remember my mom told me about they had to operate on my younger brother. He had a hernia as a baby. They had to operate on my brother as a baby. Yeah, that's scary. I'm like, I am a former nurse, and I'm just like alone. Any operation has kind of can have complications or whatever. But before a poor baby, it's like, oh my, just too much. Um, yeah. This episode is A+, 10s across the board. We have one episode left. And so I'm gonna do a separate episode for that, of course. And then next Monday, it will be me and Brian Bird doing our traditional chat, year-end, season-end chat. We always do. We're just trying to show up the time. It'll be 5 p.m. Pacific or 6 p.m. Pacific, which means 8 Eastern or 9 Eastern. That's usually when we do it. Be up to we're going to try to work that out. But it'll be on Monday. There'll be more details later this week, of course. I'm working with the PR people. But we'll be sitting down and we'll be talking. And it's always an open discussion. It'll be live. I think we live. I think we did. Like we did live. Did we do it live last time? I think we did. I remember. Um, we will come on and we will talk about the season that was. I can't believe it's almost over. And for those of you guys who are When Hope Calls fans, I did do season one with Marissa Serafini, so you can listen to that or watch that here on my channel. But I will be back for season two. I'm going to do season two. I enjoyed that series, so I'm going to do season two. But at the same time, stop by Mondays, like the other one's going to take it over. So stay tuned for that when it comes in April. So a little break for me for whatever. And I have some interviews coming up. We are working on interviews. So, and I don't mind. You know, I told him I don't mind doing post-season interviews. That's fine. That's why we can talk about the whole season. I think that's even better. So stay. So When Calls to Heart Show. This is your place for all things When Calls to Heart. I know there are a few other podcasts out there, and we love you. There's like it says no. We love everybody. There's enough to talk about. Everybody has their own take on it. So we celebrate everybody who talks about this show. As long as it makes this show have a season 13, I don't care. Season 13, kids. Season 13. I'm saying it out loud. We're manifesting it. We're saying it out loud. I'm James Lott Jr. You know who I am. Follow me everywhere. I'll talk to you next time.